The Boss and the Sauce Show.
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 What up? What up? What up? What up? Dow? Hey, I'm happy to see my guy Big Ragu again. We just come over from the Pick Six show right here, but pleasantly, we got a nice group already in the chat, Big Ragu. We got our guy Unbelievable. We got Tease and Nasty Nate in here. How you feeling right now, Big Ragu?
I feel like fishing for some money tonight. How about you, my man? I'm doing good. How about you?
Hey, at this point, we can't be fishing. We got to just reach down there and grab the fish and pull it up and say "Goonie Goo Goo" like Eddie Murphy back in the day.
Yeah, that was Eddie Murphy Raw. That was some good stuff back in the day, man. I missed them days.
That's classic right there. Oh, shucks. We got our guy, Paco Healy. OG Wham just joined us. Trigger Man. I just seen, too, as I was logging in, that our guy, Peter Loshak, is live at the same time, and it's all good. We love Peter Loshak. We'll probably be over there after this. And y'all feel free to bounce back and forth as well. We got much love for our guy, Peter Loshak, and we happen to see him back on camera, man. What you think about Peter Loshak coming back on camera, Ragu?
You talk about our Peter Loshak, the legend? Absolutely, man. Anytime we get to see Peter live and direct in person, it's a good day. It's glad to see him making a comeback, and we look forward to seeing a lot more of Pete.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. Another notes to talk about is last week, Big Ragu. How'd it go for you last week, man? You've been on fire lately. I've been tippy toeing. I did come back in the pick six for 4-2 last week, which helped out a little bit for me. I was in a little bit of slump, but now we all the way into the bowl season right now. Feeling more comfortable. Got plenty of time to cap these games. Take my time. I feel I did an excellent job paying attention for the whole season, and it's time to get to the real money, man. Last chances right here. A couple of these games right here, I got kind of bottled up where I want to go put a couple units on them.
Yeah, the thing about the bowl games, especially the early games, they get a little tricky. The good thing about the early ones is the teams, they're not off like the New Year's Day guys for like almost a month. You never know how those teams come out sometimes, especially the teams that didn't make the championship round. They might be a little disappointed, maybe a little flat. Like a tricky game for me is going to be that Alabama-Michigan game for Bama. Then you're going to worry about guys that are going into the NFL drafts, and they might, sit some players out. So pay close attention to those big teams that missed the championship round, and players are going to sit out and go to the draft. So that's one angle you want to look at. And then, just teams that haven't seen each other, different conferences. It's like you're starting the season all over again, but you have a little bit of a track record.
Oh man! Now we don't do a lot of rehearsed stuff, or even sometimes get a chance to prepare on what we gonna do out here. It's always raw, live stuff that we do right here. And I had an idea just before the show to walk into these games. Now I must mention that I haven't really looked into many of the bowl games. I haven't paid you knew more than me with the Alabama, Michigan, and all that because I kind of left it alone for a while, needed a little break. So I waited for today to actually go through this with all of our people in the chat right here, man. Shout out to Nutflesh Allen, Von Polo's up in that here. And and my man Paco Healy, never forget him. But I've been doing my YouTube search and trying to build our viewers here and stuff like that. And they said that during the show, I should also mention, if you haven't subscribed, liked, or shared one of our videos, feel free to do so. We have a lot of content coming out on the Who-Bangin Sports channel, period. But every Thursday, 6 p.m. on the West, 9 p.m. on the East, y'all already know what it is. It's the Boss and the Sauce Show, and that's what we got going on right now. So what I figured out for us, Big Ragu, I say we go through each individual game. There's a lot of games on here, so we have to do it in a speedy fashion. But first, we're going to give the who's in the game. Then we're going to give the what, which is their record on each side of the table, and then we're going to give win and also where it's at as some of the basic factors of the game. Then I want to go through before we get into this. What do you feel would be the three? Just if you had to eyeball these. Now I know if we had to go further, we're going to be looking offense versus defense, stuff like that. But if you had to eyeball them, initial view right here when you see these games on the board, what are the three most important things you look at between two teams in a bowl game?
Oh, number one, definitely this time of the year is coaching changes. Teams that are left without their coaches is a big angle for me. When you get a team, for instance, Memphis, FSU, the word, Mike Norvell went to FSU, a big hire there for them. And Memphis at the same time, they won the AAC, and they were looking at New Year's Day Bowl, and they got to go play Penn State. They're not gonna have a coach. They're not gonna have their coach. Their head coach. I think their OC or DC stepped up, and they're gonna give him the interim job. So that's always a big look for me. I'm a big fade guy when it comes to teams going to the bowl game, and in their instance, they're an underdog, so not so much. They're expected not to win the game as a whole, but sometimes you take winning programs that lose their coach, that go to bowl games. Somebody like Washington, for instance, they won. Did Washington win or lose the last game? I got to go back and look. But anyways, a successful program like that loses the top tier coach, and they go to the bowl minus their coach. If they're the favorite in the game, it's a fade for me. And also if it's a I like what I usually do, and I've done this in the past and been pretty lucky, is take the team that lost their coach and put them in a parlay with all the other teams that lost their coach in a money line parlay, whether they're favorite or underdog. It's a fade material for me all the way across. And then the other thing, you said three things. The other two things I would look at is, how teams are playing going into the bowl games, on emotion. Are teams, are they going to be happy to be there? Are they, are they just going to go through the motions? So I'll try to evaluate that portion of it. And then teams on the other same teams that are really excited, that are looking forward to getting to their bowl game, like a home bowl game, like Memphis, or not Memphis, but Hawaii. They're playing at home in that bowl game. So I look at the location, like are teams traveling long distance? Are fans going to travel with them? And that's a big part of it too. So it's the support they get, the coaching, whether they're going to be motivated to play the game, and then the travel and the fan base.
That's what's up right there. Now, I want you to keep those in mind as we go through each matchup. And if there's any of those that peak out, we just want to, touch on that a little bit, if it's a coaching change or, if we see something there. Now, I would say my three would be, first off, what conference versus what conference, just to develop what type of strength of recruiting and class, that we dealing with the team. But my next thing would be the team's MO. Is the team MO offense, defense, running, passing, whatever they do best? I want to know what each team does best. And the final last thing I want to know as far as what type of record do they have? What type of teams have they faced? Stuff like that in regards to the team. So we're just going to keep those in mind as we do the who, what, when, where's on the team right there. And we're just going to go through them with our people right here, man, real good together, as we always do.
Yeah.
Good thing a lot of the lines are out today. Great day to be doing this as well. But let's jump right into it. We already 9 minutes in right here. We got 9,000 people listening right here all over on Twitch, Xumo, Twitter, Facebook, and right here on YouTube as well, man. We appreciate everybody coming in here. And before we get right into it, let me give a shout out to our new sponsor of all our shows right here, sponsor to our channel, All Pro Moving Group. So if you're looking to move anywhere, any interstate, state to state, licensed and insured, All Pro Moving Group can do this for you.
Hey, it's Don Ricci here. And for someone who's been in the moving business for over 35 years, I know how stressful it can be. You call All Pro Moving Group. the interstate moving specialist. They're fully licensed and insured, and they can help you out with every facet of your moving. Their number is 817-893-2233, and they gave us a special code for the Who-Bangin' Sports Talk customers, and that's all pro Nick 1 for $500 off any move. That's right.
Yep, you heard it. $500 off with the code Nick1. Tell them Who-Bangin' Sports sent you. But now that we got the business stuff handled, let's get into some of these bowl games. Now, of course, jumping off first, 20th of December, a Friday, we got Buffalo 7-5 playing Charlotte. They're 7-5 as well. Now, the line is -6.5 on Buffalo side. The over-under is 57 and a half on this one, and they're gonna be playing. This is the Markers Won It Bahamut Bowl. This is gonna be playing in Nassau, MP. I don't know what MP is. What is that?
It's supposed to be in the Bahamas, I believe.
Oh, okay, that's in the Bahamas. Then that's the Bahamas Bowl. So when I go into games looking like that, location right there is a bing for me. Where are these teams coming from to go over to the Bahamas? You know, that could be startling for a young college kid. But another thing that peeps out to me in this game is Charlotte here. We know our guy Bapano is a big over fan in Charlotte, and this time the line is set down at 57.5 right here. And other thing that pops out to me is that Buffalo has been more of an offensive team this year. So I don't know. What do you see, Big Ragu, as you look at this game from the surface?
Buffalo, you know, a couple years ago, and I figured Buffalo would have a little bit of a down year this year, but they kind of put together a nice little mid-season package as far as victories go. I thought they would. I think I had them for less wins than they wound up, and they wound up going bowling. So good for them. They lost a lot of key players over the past couple of years. Cleo Mack has won a couple of years back, but they kind of rebounded here in the short term. I thought, because the way they were talking, they were pretty depleted. But I think they had a pretty good running back, Peterson, who's a pretty nice look there on the run. I know Charlotte has scored some points and gave up some points. Defensively, they're not really, really good. I think it's kind of a mismatch here on the defensive side of the ball. I think Buffalo's got a lot better defense. Maybe they can slow Charlotte down a little bit, and then and I think probably a little bit more classy of a team as far as playing like you said, conference versus conference. The MAC versus their conference is probably going to be a little bit stronger conference overall. But the only thing is Buffalo. If you look at history, their bowl record isn't that good. I think they're like 0-3 in bowl games. They've been 3 years in a row, or 3 out of 4 years, and they haven't won a bowl game yet. So maybe they get their first bowl game here. What's the number on the game? I think it's like a touchdown, isn't it? Like
6.5. Yeah, 6.5. Buffalo -6.5.
Yeah. So already there is some action coming back on Charlotte, because I think the game opened at 7. So maybe because of Buffalo's history in the bowls, in Charlotte's first bowl, let's say. So maybe they're a little bit more enthusiastic to be there for the first time, and maybe Buffalo, they with the new regime, maybe they're just trying to get their first bowl win here. So it's probably not a game I would get involved with, but if I had to take a shot, I would probably take a shot with maybe Buffalo here in this spot.
That was going to be my final question on each team. I want each of us to give. Not necessarily that you have to give the pick unless you really feel it, but where do you see the most value on this team? On this game? Do you see more value on the side or more value on the total?
I would say the side, because of the experience factor. Like I say, Charlotte's first game going bowling, and Buffalo 0-3 in bowl games. Looking to get that first win. So I would say from an experience aspect and probably a hunger aspect, I'd probably give it both. I'd probably give the lean to Buffalo because they've been there and done it, but they haven't got their first win, and this is their first bowl game for Charlotte.
That's what's up. Me, myself, I have to lean with the value being on the side. Just like you said right there, maybe not a lot of defense. Bowl game in Bahamas. Everybody want to look good, have a good time. Scoring touchdowns would be nice to go with the Mai Tais and pineapples and luau beads and all that kind of stuff. So, if I had to do it, I'd go ahead and I see more value right there on the total. And just like Ian been on it, and I've been watching what Ian was doing, I seen those guys cover 70s, 65s, and I seen Buffalo as well. Buffalo hasn't been the offensive machine they was last year, but look where they at right now. So I lean more value on the total right there. But we're going to leave that one right there where it said. I'm going to give a special shout out to our guy, Avery, in the house. What's up, Avery, coming from North Kakalaki, North Carolina. Appreciate you pulling up and hanging out with us, Avery. And I also want to give a big shout out to Noli Knows in the building. That's one of our inside guys here. But let's move on to the next game, which is going to be a team out the Mountain West where I do it the best. Utah State versus Kent State. Utah State is coming in at 7-5. Kent State is at 6-6. Line is at Utah State -7. The over-under is at 65. Now, this was going to be played at Toyota Stadium in Frisco, Texas. And this is this one.
I lost you there. What'd you say? Because you broke up right at the end.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, what's your instincts on this game right here? Utah State versus Kent.
I think this game to me looks like an over. Both teams score into the both teams score close to 30 points on average. Both teams give up a little more than right around 30 points. I think there's going to be some yardage. I mean, both teams are averaging over 6 yards a play. On the yards per points, like 15. Turnover wise, they're pretty equal. Time of possession, they're equal. So if I'm looking at these teams in the mirror as far as stats go, I think Kent State's probably a little more pass happy than Utah State is. But Utah State, I think they got some good looks with the quarterback Love over there. And Kent, the Golden Flashes, they're from the conference where they like to sling the ball around. They're both like in the 40s on the third down percentage, but the fourth down, not a whole lot going on there. But I don't think they have any common opponents. But I think Utah State's probably definitely. I mean, Utah's probably played the tougher schedule. Although Kent State did play Arizona State early in the season, and they held them down to 30 points. So. And they played Auburn. I got to take that back. They played Auburn. They played Arizona State. They played Wisconsin early in the year. So they got toughened up early, Kent State did. And Utah State, I got to give the nod to Kent State playing a little tougher schedule overall early in the season. They came away with losses in those games, but, they won their last 3 games. They beat Buffalo, Ball State, and Eastern Michigan to close out the season. And Utah State, we know we had them against New Mexico. That was a pretty good win for them. But, I'm just thinking, they barely covered that game, too. It was 12.5 points, and they won by 13. I thought they were going to blow them out. And they lost to Boise State and Wyoming before that, 2 tough losses. So they both have pretty good looks at the end of the season. And maybe that translates to a decent over, because they all scored points in those games. Like I said, they score well into the 30s and give up about 30 points. So I would lean over on that game.
So you see more value in the total?
Yeah, I think so. For my look, I like the total. I mean, it's a touchdown game either way. So with 2 teams that can score high into the totals, sometimes, with those games, 14 points, it's not too far-fetched to get a team to score by 2. All you need is a turnover either way. But to me, this has got the feel of whoever has the ball last is going to win this game.
Yeah, for me on this side, I see more value in the side. Maybe it's because I focus more on the Mountain West. Utah State, they didn't have the year that they really wanted. They ended up in an early bowl game, which is excellent for their program that's getting turned around right now. not too far of a travel from Utah to Texas, so they should have plenty of people and fans there to root them on. I think they gather it together, looking forward to next year and try to put together a nice win. But it will be close, you know. If you're the contrarian type, it's not bad to go contrarian with Kent State. To be 6-6 and make it to where they've been through, and some of the teams that they played. They may have what it takes to put a shocker to this Utah State team. But the straw that breaks the camel back for me is that Utah State from the Mountain West, who overall the Mountain West did really, really well out of conference early in the season. And I expect them to do well out of conference in these bowl games as well. So I would side with Utah State in that. And that'll be the end of Friday, December 20th. So then Saturday, December 21st, we got quite a few games on the card. This is also early bowl games. First off, Central Michigan, San Diego State. Central Michigan was 8-5. San Diego State was 9-3. This is going to be taking place in Albuquerque, New Mexico at Dream Style Stadium. The line is San Diego State minus 3.5. And the total is over or under 41 in this New Mexico Bowl. What are you feeling here, Big Ragu?
San Diego State, since that's one of your teams out there, they don't score a whole lot of points, but they don't give up a whole lot of points either. Central Michigan, where they come from, they're kind of like Kent State. They're built that same way as far as offense and defense. They're yielding like 30 plus points, and they're giving up like almost 20 high 20s, 27, 28 points a game. So you're going to have contrasting styles here for sure as far as what they're going to do to grind some points out. They don't turn the ball over a whole lot. San Diego State does it, and they don't score a whole lot of points. So this whole game is going to be the premise of San Diego State's defense. What are they going to do? And how are they going to put up points? Now, they'll probably yield some points to Central Michigan. Central Michigan probably help San Diego State's cause out here to help them get some points. But at a first look, I would almost say maybe like a first half under in this game, possibly. What's the total on the game? 3.5, 3?
3.5.
Yeah. So you're probably looking at a first half. You might look at it maybe like a 2 or maybe depending on how these books set their numbers up, you're probably looking at maybe a 2.5 point first half. So maybe a field goal game. So I don't think you're going to find any value in the line in the first half if that's the look. So maybe a first half under, that's what I was thinking. Overall, the game total is sitting at 41. So that shows you right there. See, and I'm not a big fan of betting unders in the 40s and mid 40s in college football. Now you see, that's going to tell you how they're going to dictate the line in that game. If the game's sitting at 41 in a bowl game, they're pretty much telling you that San Diego State's going to dominate this football game. So maybe the side is a smarter play with taking San Diego State and laying the 3.5. Maybe buy the hook down from 3.5 in this game to 3, and maybe you walk away with a push at the worst case scenario. But I think San Diego State's going to handle business in this game, the way the line's looking and the way the total is.
Yeah, I'm tempted to go in on the total this way, but if I would go in on the total, I would kind of lean going over on this one because although San Diego State does play a lot of defense, they can get loose on offense at times. They have a great running game. The passing game is what's been the key this year, opposed to some of the other years. They've been able to pass a little better than they have before. Coach Rocky Long over there, old school type of player, knows what to do in these type of situations. But this game, definitely you'd have to break down a little farther in the X's and O's to see how they match up because San Diego State has a good pass defense. They also have a decent run defense, but they tend to give up a little bit on the run here and there more than they give up on the pass. And Central Michigan, they're kind of like right in between on the balance level. So, that I've seen so far in the season. So it's difficult right there. I would love to take the over in that one. But I see more value in the side in this one. maybe with San Diego State because they've been having such a great year. They're 9-3 in this one. The other team is 8-5. Once again, this is a Mountain West team playing out of conference. And then I look at it like this too. If you look at the MAC, the MAC is kind of like the little Big Ten to me, and the Mountain West is like the little Pac-12 to me. So this is like Pac-12 versus Big Ten, where Pac-12 brings a lot more speed out here in California, especially in the secondary and the wide receiver zone. So I think they can make some moves on offense, being that it's not another Mountain West team that, knows how they get down and all that stuff. I think San Diego State has a good chance on offense to do well. And I definitely take them with offense riding on their side. So I see more value in the side right here at 3.5. If it goes down to 3, smash it twice. That's a good price to pay with a team like San Diego State.
How about this? All of San Diego State's game, right? Did you notice you're a Mountain West guy too, right?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1 and 11 to the under. In other words, 11-1 under on San Diego State this season.
Absolutely. That's what Noli Knows had brought that to my attention at the end of the thing. Man, I haven't had a chance to pay attention to the chat over here, but the chat is going wild over here. Our guy Avery in here, Paco Healy, everybody's having a good time, man. I appreciate everybody coming over here. All 9,000 of the people that's watching right now. The Boss and the Sauce show. This is our 15, 16 show. I can't even count them nowhere, Big Right Dude. But what show it is doesn't even matter, man. It's like who counts the amount of time that they hang out with their buddies? You don't really count that amount of times. It's just something you do. You enjoy it. You have a good time doing it, and that's what we're doing here. So let's jump into the next one. This one, I'm a little novice on this one, but this is the FBC Mortgage Cure Bowl, and this is taking place Orlando City Stadium, Orlando, Florida. Out by you, Big Ragu. And in this game, we got Liberty 7-5, and we got Georgia Southern 7-5 in here. And the line is set at Georgia Southern -5. 5 is a tricky number in college football. To me, that means they have no clue what's going on in this game. And the over-under is at 60 right here. Do you have any leads on this one?
Man, I tell you the truth, not at the first glance. I know this is Liberty's second year in the FBS, and last year a lot of people had a lot of high hopes for Liberty playing early in the season, which I wasn't one of them, but, I did have some looks on Liberty last year. But this year, hey, they were a top-notch team in FCS. Now they're stepping up to the big league, and in the second year they get into a bowl, so it's not too bad of a look for them. So they got to be really fired up about, coming to this game. Georgia Southern, they were in that same boat about 20 years ago. Georgia Southern was a champion for many years in the FCS, and I had some friends of mine that went to Georgia Southern. Actually, I'm going back 30 years. That was a pretty good football school, and they still are today. They're a different level school, but they give a lot of good looks. And the guy that coaches at Tulane, he was there for a long time too. So they run a lot of different looks up there, and they're still a solid ball club. I think the money's coming on Liberty a little bit because the line opened up at 6, is down to 5, but the total, here's an eye catcher. The total is opened up at 56, it's up to 60, 61 in some places, 60.5. So looks like a lot of money coming on the under. I can see why, because a lot of their games have been high scoring games on both sides of the football. So maybe the line setters, when they open this one up, they got a little short on the number, not expecting people to probably fly up on that over, but immediately, it went from 56 and opened up at 60. So some of the heavy money's already popped in on the total. So looks like the total might be the play here on this particular game.
Well, myself, I'm not too driven by the line, even though that's a major 4-point line movement right there, and guys who follow the line. But I see more value in the side in this one, and it's more of a contrarian play. And this may be a lesson from last weekend when we capped the Miami, Ohio, Central Michigan game, and we figured that Miami, Ohio had missed a couple years, and they made it. They were kind of like just out of place. Ended up in that spot right there, and Miami, Ohio rose to the occasion. Some teams are just made to do those things. This Liberty team has been going over accolade after accolade in this college football season, and maybe they're just focused enough to get there. Maybe they're not the team that's going to get there and just be lax that they made it there and say, okay, that's good for us. Yeah. Maybe that team that's going to fight all the way. And if you want to give me points with a team that I know is going to fight, I'm going to take that team that's going to fight, and you're just going to have to beat me. So I find a lot of value in the side with Liberty on this one.
Yeah, listen, in these early bowl games, especially the early games, a 5-point underdog. I mean, it opened up at 6 points down to 4.5 in some spots. So, there's money definitely coming that way. But it's kind of in this one here. If the guys that are paying attention, it's almost like a reverse line move because 62% of the bets are on Liberty. Oh no, I'm sorry. Just disregard that last comment. But anyways, yeah, the sharper plays looks like they're on Liberty. Maybe the sharps and the public both are on Liberty. What it looks like, but for the most part, and that number's dropping down too because even at some of the -4.5s, I'm seeing some 105s there. So it'll probably go down to 4 pretty soon. So if you're going to bet Liberty, I bet it now. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I like that. If you want to make an action on that one and you like Liberty, hey, go for it. It's been endorsed by the Boss of the Sauce on the Boss of the Sauce show every Thursday right here, 6 p.m. on the West, 9 p.m. on the East. We're halfway through this one. And we come into two teams that fall in some categories that we talked about earlier. This is SMU, that's 10-2 versus Florida Atlantic, who is 10-3. This is the Cherry Bundy Baca Rotten Bowl, and this is gonna be taking place in Baca Raton, Florida. Is that how I pronounce that in Florida? Baca Raton?
Boca Raton.
Boca Raton. Wow, I missed that one all the way.
That's where FAU's home field is. So that's basically a home game for Florida Atlantic. That's their home field.
Okay, but we also talked earlier. This is a team that's losing their coach, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Lane Kiffin is gone on his way to Ole Miss.
So you already spoke about your auto fade on this one, and where are you feeling on this? And this is a very impressive SMU team that we've seen this year, and this Florida Atlantic team, not so impressive. Kind of had their way with all the lower teams and kind of struggled against some of the bigger opponents. But this SMU team fought every last game to the last bit right here, and they're -3 in this one. But the over-under is set at 70.5. These are two big-time offensive teams right here. And I don't know what do you feel about the conference rank between these two? You think they're ranked the class is appropriate on this one? Yeah,
I think so. Florida Atlantic, they finished up 10-3. SMU finished up 10-2. So they both finished up against the spread on the winning side. Both are higher up on the unders. So if you bet these teams all season long, you made money. There's no question about it. The main thing to me, what I'm looking at here, would probably be not even on the turnover side because they're both pretty equal there. So basically, the strength of schedule, I would probably give the nod to SMU a little bit here. Even though early in the season, if you remember, FAU went on the road. They play Ohio State to open up the season, and then they played UCF. So they had 2 losses early. Then they went on a pretty good little win streak. Then they caught a loss, and then they won the rest of the way out. So this team's on a 2, 4, 6, 7 game win streak. And SMU's, they kind of split their last four games against a tough Memphis and Navy team, and they finished out the year beating Tulane. So that's good looks for them, to go down the stretch, tougher conference games where UAB, pretty much the same way, but they finished up on the W side. So a little tougher look for SMU towards the end of the season, probably a little more seasoned, with Sonny Dykes and Shane Buechele at quarterback there. So, a little more name recognition, a little tougher schedule, and a 3-point number plus the outgoing coach for FAU. That's a strong play for me on SMU here.
Yeah, I like SMU on the side. They had an awesome season, and I think they deserve this bowl game. This something they bring home to the coach, and they bring home to the school, and let them know that they come to play ball seriously, and they should be taken serious next year as well, moving forward. But
just think, right before the end of the season, this team was looking at, at one time they were ranked in the mid-teens. They had to meet up with Memphis. They were ranked around the same time, but Memphis kind of held their own a little bit more than SMU did. SMU had that loss at Navy, which was a big loss, and then of course Memphis beat them 2 weeks before that. So solid ball club, a lot of good looks. Big time passing yardage. We're going to see an aerial assault in this game. There's no question about it. So it'll be a fun one to watch. It is an early bowl game. So out of all the early bowls, the first week of bowl season, this is probably going to be the best game to watch.
There it is. There, you heard it right here on the Boss of the Sauce Show. And guess what, y'all? I learned a little something today. You never can learn too much, and now I know that's Boca Raton. Okay, Boca Raton. Thanks, Big Ragu. You taught me a little something today.
Sir.
But let's move on to the next game, which is the Camellia Bowl, which is in Crampton Bowl, is the name of the stadium, and this is in Montgomery, Alabama. I had some mediocre barbecue in Montgomery, Alabama at a
mediocre,
spot.
Huh?
It was called J.K. I couldn't believe I pulled off the side of the road, Montgomery, Alabama, to eat some weak barbecue. That was not the best experience. But I did have the best smoked wings of my life in Birmingham, Alabama, on my way back from Atlanta one time. But neither here nor there. In this game is Florida International, FIU, versus Arkansas State. Now, the line is Arkansas State minus 2.5, and the total is sitting at 63 in this one. You got any input on this one right here, Big Ragu?
That's another one of them teams, Arkansas State. That's Gus Malzahn's old stomping grounds. They always seem to attract the sharp offensive-minded coaches over there. They're getting all those, recruits that, say Memphis and Arkansas and, the bigger SEC teams are not getting, they wind up over there. But that was another team back in the day, it kind of established a program and they kind of kept things going there. So I like this team. The coach, I had a good play on them early in the season when, there was a death on the coaching staff, like the head coach's wife had passed away, and then they had a pretty emotional game. They went out there and they beat the shit out of UNLV when we were out in Vegas, right around that same time. But this team now, they've kind of rebounded a little bit. They took a tough loss at Georgia, and they finished up the season, somewhere in the. They did win enough games. I think they lost their last game at South Alabama, but they beat L.A. Monroe, Texas State, Georgia Southern, and prior to that they lost to Louisiana. Well, Louisiana is a pretty good team, and we've seen what they played up against with App State. So I like this team a lot, and I think Florida International. I know Drew knows a lot about this team, and was pretty in tune with this team on a lot of games that we went up against, but. They went through like a 4-loss stretch right before they played Miami, and the big win for them was when they upset Miami before the last game of the season. So they beat Miami and they lost to Marshall the last game out. So I think the good look here is it might be a total on my side. They're giving up like 35 points a game. This team has got a winning record. Here's the thing you got to watch out for. Okay. So a thing I like to look at is the point differential. I don't have the breakdown on this, but just looking at the points for and the points against, I can tell you it's probably going to be a big plus minus for these guys here because they're giving up more points than they're scoring. so probably in the games that they're losing, they're taking it pretty hard, but the games they're winning, they're probably winning by margin too. So, and FIU, they're averaging around 27 points a game, yielding 27 points a game. So. I think Arkansas State might have the more explosive offense, but FAU's probably played a little tougher schedule. So, and then Red Wolves are 2.5-point favorites. And where's that game at? You say?
This is gonna be in Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery. So I give probably Arkansas State's probably going to travel a lot better for this game. I don't see a whole lot of FIU fans coming up for this one. So I would definitely give the home field advantage to FIU. But you know what? There's more money coming in on FIU in this spot here. So this might be some short money plays coming in on FIU. But I don't see it that way. I like the other side here. Even though the line's dropped from 4.5 to 2.5, I'm seeing some threes, 2.5 threes. So the line's dropping for sure. So money's coming in on FIU, and the total's sitting right where it's at, 63. So the total's probably in the right spot, I would think here.
Yeah, I see value more on the side, and at this one, I want to take the 2.5 points with FIU.
Yeah.
FIU had a pretty decent season. They saw some tough opponents. Tulane, Western Kentucky. They played the best in their category. They had a decent season, and they found spots to win. They made it this far in this one, and they in a conference that's real competitive over there. And they're going to bring that competitiveness to this game here as well. And Arkansas State has been hit and miss here and there for me. When I tried to back them or fade them or anything, it's been kind of hit and miss, maybe ATS. But this game right here definitely takes a lot more studying between the lines, and you probably can find a better edge if you look at the X's and O's, because it's two teams that don't really line up well. This is Sun Belt versus what is this? Sun Belt and what? FIU is AAC?
Yeah, AAC, correct.
Yeah, it's Sun Belt AAC. I don't know. That's something sometimes on these bowl games too, you can look back in the history of the two conferences matching up, and that can give you some insight too. Some teams
it might be Conference USA.
Yeah, I think that is it. Some teams don't match up well out of conference and stuff. So I don't know really, to tell you the truth. But if I had to choose one, I'd take Florida International plus the points on the other side in this game right here in Montgomery, Alabama. That's the Camellia Bowl. Let's keep it moving. Now, this is an interesting one right here. We kind of touched on this a little bit. And all this is on the same day. This is all done on
so Saturday's game. So we'll
21st.
We'll finish up these. We'll do. We won't get too far ahead of ourselves putting out in the bowl season. We'll just cap the week's games. Like the next week, we'll cap the other week's game. Unless you want to catch like some of the early games, because we do have two midweek games we can talk about. Matter of fact, let's run the bowl games all the way down to Christmas Eve. No, what am I saying? These games are next week, so they're not even playing these games this week. So, anyways, we'll just give them some early looks on the bowl.
Yeah. I'm just going down briefly. However far we make it down, down. We got 15 minutes or so left.
That's fine.
So,
I'm in no hurry.
However far we make it down, we make it down. And next week, if we're not bombarded with the games that we have, we'll touch on some more. We always have time to go into it some more. But this next one is.
I just want to say something. I might have misspoke something here, guys. I did say that the SMU Florida Atlantic would probably be the best game, and I overlooked the Washington Boise State game, which is the game that DJ is going to talk about next.
Yeah, and this one is the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl at the Sam Boyd Stadium, and this was probably the last football game on the Sam Boyd Stadium thing, because UNLV's getting a new stadium, and I don't think they're going to be using this one. They had a big
new coach.
Yeah, and a new coach more than likely. I haven't even caught wind of all the coaches changes so far.
He's gone. Sanchez is gone.
Oh, it's a done deal. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
okay.
He's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, we knew that was happening, but new stadium, new coach. This is Sam Boyd. The city already wrapped it up. It's no big deal. But the weird thing about these teams, you got two teams coming basically out of the same area with Washington and Boise State. Two big cold weather teams coming on down to Las Vegas, which will probably be decently cold down there as well in Las Vegas. But playing a bowl game in Las Vegas for a 21, 22, 20-year-old kid, it's got to be difficult staying focused on the game in this one. So I think the lines could get blurred. It kind of may come down to discipline in this one. But once again, Boise State and the Mountain West tore the Pac-10 up this year and out of conference games. And Boise State may have a chance to get a hold of this Washington team that kind of played mediocre over there in the Pac-12 for the season. But then on the flip side, Washington got a chance to show that Pac-12 is big dog and put it to Boise State. And Boise State's a very disciplined team. They only lost one game. They got the freshman quarterback that's been in and out, and they still been winning. But sometimes class-wise, recruiting, Boise State is just so dominant over the Mountain West, it makes them look a little better than they may really be. And this time, they're playing in Las Vegas at Sam Boyd Stadium. Ain't no blue grass to help them out or none of that kind of stuff. It's going to be a puzzle to who travels well in this one. And I would say maybe Washington may travel a little better than Boise State down here to Vegas, because I've seen Washington here at the Rose Bowl plenty of times, and they travel well. So number 19, Boise State versus Pac-12 Washington. Washington is minus 3.5 in this game, and the over-under is set at 49.5. What's your look on this one, Big Ragu?
Yeah, I like you know what? On the surface, I like Boise. A couple reasons. Number one, I was telling you about the coaching change. So basically, Peterson, who used to coach his team, right? But here's the difference. Peterson will be coaching this game. He's not. He's leaving Washington. He's leaving the program, but he hasn't been fired. He's resigned. So that's the difference. He's stepping down. So now, how does the locker room react to him in this game? Do they send him off a winner, or do they just have a passe type game? It's like, a disappointment, because this team early in the season, and they were like, between them and Oregon was supposed to be the team to beat in the Pac-12, correct? And then they kind of fell off pretty quick. Washington did. They had them pegged as a national championship, playoff, not a winner, but possibly making the 4-team playoff early in the season. That was the look for the Pac-12. This was supposed to be the face of the Pac-12 when championship season came around, but they kind of fell off. And I think it showed in Peterson's, with him leaving the program. So it's been a disappointing season in more ways than one for this team. And now that the coach is leaving, so I don't know how that locker room is going to react amongst them. Now, Boise, on the other hand, they won their Mountain West Championship game against Hawaii. And the funny thing was, they were kind of praying for Cincinnati to beat Memphis in that game, because Boise State would have been playing on New Year's Day instead of playing on this day right here, So they went from playing on the Premier Bowl game to be playing in this game here. So this is going to be their championship game. They got to look at a possibility, like you said, if things hold up the way they have with the Pac-12 Mountain West matchups, you're getting points. You get a team that's probably a little bit more motivated here. You may be coming off a disappointment that they didn't get to the championship, the New Year's Six game, but they did win the Mountain West Championship, so they have that under their belt. And there's nothing more they would like to do to win this bowl game, to put that in their trophy in the closet. So I'm all about Boise in this spot here, getting the 3.5 and maybe a money line play.
I like it, but I don't know why the line setters got Washington. I mean, technically this should be an even game, and I'm not even used to getting points with Boise State, so
Right.
that definitely may be a good option to take the points with Boise State. But I think I see more value here in the total. I probably had to do a little more homework on this one, but the 49.5 feels like it's gonna go under that, because Boise State plays teams according to how they play, and I've seen Washington play some teams play some games that we thought were going to go way over that went under as well. But technically, I can't say that neither one of them have like lockdown defense. Although Boise State defense is fairly well, and Washington State definitely has the speed and the recruiting to compete against Boise State. But I think maybe we catch a slugfest right here, and we get a good under game in this Boise State versus Washington.
It's ticked up a little bit. I mean, the number crept up slightly from like 49.5 to 50, and there's some minus 109, minus 105s, minus 113's on shaded to the under a little bit. So you're probably right. Probably the under is the look there. You know, it seems like it's teeter-tottering right at 50 with shaded to the under a little bit on the minus side. So that's probably a good look there, the under, as far as that goes.
That's right. Well, we getting down to the last 10 minutes here or so, and these games that we just listed are all on the weekend of December 21st, and this is the last one on the card. So I think we should maybe stop right there on December 21st.
Yeah, that's fun.
We'll get a chance to come back. There's plenty of more games we haven't went over.
40 games.
But there's plenty more games we can go back over, next week. We'll be back on the Boss and the Sauce.
Wait a minute. Before we leave, though, we got to talk Army-Navy.
Oh, yeah, we got to do that. But let's jump into this last one on that Saturday, which is Appalachian State versus UAB. Appalachian State, astounding 12-1. Hats off to them. UAB, 9-4. Hats off to them as well. This one right here is going to be at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. And this is the R+L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Now, New Orleans can be one of those places where, what's going on in the city, the French Quarters and all that can keep the players up and they not be focused on what they need to do in this game. But this App State team has been very impressive on this last stretch. Put up a big-time over game. I got crushed. Drew had the over in that one, copped it early. I went on the other side and took the under, and it got blown out of the water. So I guess Appalachian State defense is not what I thought it was. And in this game right here, they're minus 17 points, and the over-under is sitting at 47.5. I'm not sure what to do. 17 points is a lot of points to give out in a bowl game. But some of these bowl games do end up in big scores, big blowouts.
Yeah. Well, when we talk about teams that are fighting their way back, UAB is one of those teams that, they didn't have a program for a couple of years. They clawed their way back into they had a 2-year hiatus, and they did a nice job coming back. So kudos to that team. And then App State is their coach is gone. He left. He's a hire. He's moving on to bigger schools. So that's a coachless team. And 17 points is a heck of a lot of points. They're 12-1, Sun Belt. Conference USA, nice season for UAB, 9-4. I wouldn't sleep on UAB here in this spot with getting 17 points. We know that App State's defense is pretty darn good. UAB, on the other hand, they're a pretty good little program also. So I think that's a lot of points to be given up in a spot like this, especially when the team is, going to lose their coach. And I'm sure the team is going to play up for the interim coach, but I don't know. I just think it's too many points. Just from the outside looking in without breaking anything down, just a general look on the game. And like you said, New Orleans, maybe some of the mountain kids, when they get into that big city for the first time, they get to take them out on Bourbon Street the night before. Maybe they have a couple cocktails and they show up a little groggy for the game the next day. So, and that goes for UAB too, but UAB is a little more in the proximity. Alabama, New Orleans, it's probably a couple of car-hour drive away from there. Probably some of them kids has already partied down in New Orleans already, but maybe some of these Mountaineer kids, they hadn't made it to the Big Easy yet. So you got to be careful there. So I like the 17 points there.
Yeah, I probably would have to take that 17 point, but I think in that game, I think it'd be like you said, maybe let's play on the lines that they do too much the night before and take a first half UAB. We'll probably get 8-9 points. So if we get 10, that'd be awesome. But I think UAB first half, UAB got a little defense over there that they can put out. App State has played games, at high margins and also at low margins as well. So I would like a first half under full game over.
Guess what I just found out?
What's that?
Appalachian State last year, you know what the bowl game they played in?
What was
played
that?
Middle Tennessee State. In the New Orleans Bowl last year.
Oh, the same one.
45-13 they played last year. So guess what? maybe some of them kids, they learned their lesson from last year and they had a good time and they still won big. But UAB, on the other hand, like I said, just coming back. This is their second year back. And last year they beat Northern Illinois 37-13 in the Boca Raton Bowl. So here's a little history for you right there, my man.
There you go. Well, with these bowl games, you got to take them one by one. You got to line them up and match them up. You're gonna see some blatant differences, and that's where you got to make your plays on some of those blatant differences. Now let's bounce over to this Navy game. You know me, I haven't had a good look on military teams in years. I even tiptoe around Air Force when I do the Mountain West. So take the steering wheel on this one, Big Ragu.
Last year, like you say, year to year is different. Now usually with the military schools, you get the one team that's the superior team. They all run the same offense. They all play the same game. Army last year was a pretty good team. Prior to that, Air Force was a good team. Now Navy's turn. Now they've beaten Army like forever and ever and ever. And I think the past 3 years that Army finally got to Navy. They finally beat them after losing like 14, 15 years in a row. But now the thing's flipped again. So this year Navy is probably the better team. They're ranked in the 20s. And Army's just kind of had a flat year this year overall. They had a disappointing year by their standards as far as wins and losses. But they did get the bowl. They're 6-6. Navy's probably the better look here. But these games always have an under to them. Last year I tried to get cute, and I told myself I wasn't going to play the game last year, but I wound up playing it. And the game was like 41 points, whatever the total was. It was like low 40s, 40, 41, 42. And it comes so close to catching that over, man. There was like two turnovers, one before the half going in, they turned it over. And then right at the end of the game, they couldn't punch it in. So basically, usually you come down to one-score game because they're so similar the way they play against each other. And believe me, this game is more out of respect and pageantry, for the service corps, what they do. It's I'm not going to say they don't want to win the game, but trust me, these two coaches, when they're looking across the sideline, they're not looking to break it off in each other. They're looking to, play an honest game, control tempo type game, and just, get through the game and just send each other's, send the seniors off. A lot of these kids, it's going to be the last game they're going to play before they go serve our country. So for me, this game is all about watching the game, paying our respects to our service kids, and having a good time. So, but if you want to get involved with the game, I would have a lean to the under in this game here, just to have a little something to watch it. But tell me, this is on my bucket list. I really want to go to an Army-Navy game one day before I leave this planet, because I was telling Kelly the other day, I says, not this year, but maybe the year or the year after that, we're definitely going to go up to Veterans, or it used to be Veterans Day, now it's Lincoln Field, go see an Army-Navy game. I don't know how many people in the chat, if you guys have been to an Army-Navy game, I see Ant's in there. Is this shit live? As he said, yeah, it's live, Ant. This is a live show. Don't worry about it. Ant, why don't you get in your car and go to the Army-Navy game this weekend and do a live report for me? But yeah, but the under, I lean towards the under in this game here. I think it's 41?
Yeah, it's right there at 41. I would say I kind of lean Army in this one with the points if I had to make a pick right here. Just on conspiracy theory that this year is coming up on the election year. These are Patriot teams, and that they should just battle it out. Maybe one of those good old 9-6 games, or like they did back in the day. I also see some rain or something in the weather over here on ESPN. It says 59 degrees with showers. So yeah, that's not that bad. But they're gonna be doing a lot of push-ups in the end zone and all that good stuff that they do in those games. It's definitely a watch, but I probably won't bet but a half a unit if I do find a reason to bet it. But my guy Ant want winner, so there's a winner right there, and Big Ragu put you on the winner right there, right here on the Boss and the Star show.
I probably won't even bet it, but if I put it, I might bet a half a unit on the under just to watch it. But you know what? To me, this game is all about paying respect to our kids. And the pageantry before the game is a lot of fun, but it's definitely a bucket list game for me. So one day, maybe next year, I'll fly out to Philadelphia. We'll go watch a game in person. How's that sound?
Hey, how about we have another low bagger meetup at the Army Navy game?
We'll let Ant line it up because he's a Philly boy anyway. So Ant, put that on your list for next year. If I know you're out there listening, make sure you line us up for the Army Navy game next year.
That's what's up, man. Well, we reached our hour right here on the Boston the Sauce. We had a wonderful time. We only got through 8 games, though. I thought we was going to do a lot more better than that. But as long as we get through them thorough like we do, Big Ragu, I never have any regrets or anything. So we just keep it moving forward. If anybody have any questions, leave comments. We'll get back to the comments, or you can hit us on Twitter. We'll get back at you or anything. You know, all y'all know how we are. But let's give another quick shout out to All Pro Moving Group for let me throw their banner up there. All Pro Moving Group.
Hey, it's Don Ricci here. And for someone who's been in the moving business for over 35 years, I know how stressful it can be. You call All Pro Moving Group, the interstate moving specialist. They're fully licensed and insured, and they can help you out with every facet of your moving. Their number is 817-893-2233, and they gave us a special code for the Who-Bangin Sports Talk customers, and that's All Pro Nick 1 for $500 off any move. That's right.
$500 off any move with the All Pro Nick 1. But that shout out to the All Pro Moving Group. If you have to move interstate, state to state, make sure you get at them. They're licensed, they're insured, and they'll do it for $500 off if you mention Who-Bangin Sports, the Boston the South Shore, or even All Pro Nick 1. But that's it right there, Dom. It's been a wonderful time again, man. Anything you want to tell the people out there for the weekend?
Just we appreciate you guys tuning in. And for the 9,000 people that watch this tonight, if you bring just one friend next week, that means we'll have 18,000 in the chat. So everybody bring a friend next week so we can double our numbers. And we appreciate you guys as always. And don't forget to follow my guy at DJ Big Boss on Twitter and myself at Big RAG0062. And the rest of the Who-Bangin Sports gang on Twitter. We'll be back next week this time. And don't forget, we got the lounge tomorrow night, too.
Absolutely. Come over to the lounge tomorrow, hang out with us. I'm not even sure who we all got lined up, but it's always a blast over there. And if worst come to worst, you see me and Big Ragu again. But tomorrow we're going to be talking some NFL. We got NFL playoffs coming up. And just like we went over these bowl games, we're going to go over some playoff opportunities and, you know, all that good stuff. So pull up a chair tomorrow, pull out a pen and pad, and hang out with us on the Who-Bangin Sports Lounge. We'll have Trot Wham. Hopefully we have Noli Nose, Dom Ricci, myself, and also the Sauce, the Big Ragu. And guess what, Big Ragu?
I'll see you at the window, my man.
I'll see you at the window, man. It's been great. Y'all have a good one. Happy holidays to you and your families. Make sure you show back up next Thursday and check us out tomorrow on the Who-Bangin Sports Lounge.
The Boston the Sauce Show.
Boston the Sauce Show.
Boston the Sauce Show.
Boston the Sauce Show.